Hello, everybody. I'm Ed Parcaut, your host of Helping the Brave. Let's bring in our guest today, Sam Sells. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ed.
My pleasure. First question I always ask, same question. It's the only one I ask is what service and why did you pick that service?
Air Force, and the lady I was dating, her dad was a chief in the Air Force, and he was like, "Sam, you got to join the Air Force," and so I did.
There's nothing wrong with Air Force. It's a service. It's like everything else. It's what I mean by that is that we make fun of Navy, Army makes fun of the Air Force and call it the chair force. So does the Marines. But you know what? If you're smart enough to have the ASVAB to get into the Air Force, you're smarter than everybody else.
uh, I almost joined the Marines because I thought I was a pretty tough kid, but yeah, Air Force worked out pretty well for me.
What did you do in the Air Force?
So I enlisted as a firefighter. Did that for 4 years active duty. Got out, joined the Guard, did that for 2 years, finished up my degree, got my bachelor's degree in 2009 when the whole world was crashing. And I went to work for Deloitte for a little bit, realized at the end of the day, nobody gave two craps about me. And so I went back and joined as an officer, got my commission, and became a hospital administrator. Spent the better part of my hospital administration career in global health, working with foreign militaries, foreign governments, helping them to create sustainable healthcare systems, irregular warfare for you guys. Yeah.
That was in the Air Force?
That was in the Air Force. Yeah. Very, very small group of people.
No, because I was a corpsman in the Navy, and then I got my bachelor's and master's. Everybody's like, "Are you gonna, go in for officer?" I'm like, "No, it's line officers. Why do I want to be on a ship?" That's all there was. I mean, there was no choice. You didn't go like, "I get to have land." It's not like the Army and Air Force where you have all the different choices. And that was the reason I got out. And everybody's like, "You go in the reserves?" No, because I can get called back up for going over to war. Navy stands for never again volunteer myself, so why would I want to do that? So that's my story. But how did you retire in the?
So I had a little early retirement, 17 years, got med boarded, and that actually, the whole med board process is medical retirement process is why I, pivoted substantially, because I wanted to finish my 20 years. I thought I was going to, stick around to be an 06 and do the thing, but, they had other plans.
So when you got out, when you said med board, so did you get 100% disability when you got out?
Yeah, I got 80% active and 100% VA.
Okay. No, the reason so you got your normal retirement, part of a retirement, plus then I was talking about the veterans benefits, because a lot of people, I've had people who have early on didn't retire out that way, but just got med boarded out, and they still didn't have their full benefits. And I'm adamant about people going back and getting them, because even I just recently did, because I got hurt non-combat, and so we think that we can't go back, and that's a problem with us.
It's a problem with us. Like it's a mindset, and part of that is just the like I'm too tough, or I'm too much of a man, or I don't need that, and it's
free money. Go get your money. You signed on the line to go to war. Even if you didn't go to war and you got hurt, you still deserve the benefits.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people who maybe not deserve by just getting yelled at, but we won't get into that. That are getting 80%, and you got people with Purple Hearts getting 80%, because it's important to go get those benefits. And I hope the veterans, with the way they're doing it, relooking at the VA and changing things, that they make it easier. Like if you were, if you got a Purple Heart, you automatically got this, or certain things that you don't have to go fight for the benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be automatic for certain things. And then people who don't have that, then they can go back through the system, and then it makes it easier for the other people in the system to go through and get that stuff taken care of. But I don't want to talk about the whole thing about benefits. I'm in the mortgage industry. I've been in it for 27 years, and I know you do a lot of stuff with real estate, and you're in Las Vegas, right?
We're doing a lot of stuff in Las Vegas. I'm actually in Texas now.
What? Texas?
Yeah.
So how's Texas now? Because I'm hearing different things.
I
don't want to take away from what you want to talk about.
Yeah.
Florida's having trouble right now because of insurance, and a lot of properties on the market. They have The last numbers I saw, 650,000 single family homes nationwide that are on the market. They have 212,000 of those.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
taxes is an issue here. Insurance is an issue, but not as bad. But taxes have gone up quite a bit because of all the valuations, and it's not. Texas hasn't been as bad as other places have been in regards to the commercial market, but the real estate market's hurting right now. It's a great time to buy, but if you
oh,
bought 3 years ago, you're cooked.
oh, you mean commercial, or are we talking residential?
Commercial or really residential too, to a certain degree, but yeah,
In Texas or everywhere?
just about everywhere. Texas is not quite as bad.
See, California is not bad. So we still we have appreciation. It's just hard to, only 44% of the people can afford a home because of where the rates are. But back to Texas, what a lot of people don't understand, because you brought up taxes. A lot of people don't realize that move to Texas thinking, oh, it's cheaper to buy here. You guys have 3% tax rate. And the other thing is, if you own a primary residence, whatever the value of your home goes up, you can do 10% of that can be added. So about your property taxes double about every 10 years. But if you own a rental property, your taxes go up every year.
Yeah. So what's really cool about Texas, though, is if you are a
Disabled.
disabled veteran and you got your 100%, like you can wipe away all
All the tax.
your taxes on your house, which saves me, I don't know, like
A lot.
a lot, 10 grand a year or something on a small house.
Yeah, well, because, and also you don't have to worry about it going up. So the problem was, is a lot of people bought Airbnbs in like Austin for 250,000, and then that stuff went to 500,000, and then got to the point where they didn't pencil anymore. So you saw all these Airbnbs on the market because of that, and
Yep.
there has to be something done. I mean, a lot of people, well, they don't have this and they don't have this, but 3% taxes. I mean, I remember a long time ago, business partner of mine bought a lot by the ocean, and he's like, dude, the tax I'm paying just on this bare land is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but we'll
You're a
see. We'll
vet,
see
who
what happens.
cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then back to, I've had more conversations about benefits ever since I started down this path, and the reason is because it's can change your life, right? If you get 100% disabled and you have a wife, it's about $4,000 a month now. Well,
Mhm.
that can make a difference for you being able to buy a house and not own a house. And a lot of people think 100% disabled, it means I don't have any legs or I don't have any arms. That's not what that means. That just means it's a combined number up to that. That could be part PTSD, that could be part other stuff, injuries, other stuff, sleep apnea, if you can believe it. All those things can add up to where you have your disability.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's life changing. And then your kids can go to college for free and all that stuff. You can go back to school, your wife, all those things you can do. But it's important because you, as veterans, you can buy real estate with no money down and keep buying it and buying and buying it and build a huge portfolio with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that I call that the level one real estate levels, called like you're a one man band where you can do all these different techniques, whether it's wholesaling or flipping or BRRRR strategy, buy, rehab, refinance, repeat, or buying a fourplex and house hacking. You live in one and everybody, rent out the other three. Every year you change. You do that with a VA loan repeatedly over and over and over again, which is a great house hack.
Okay. I always hate house hack. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm old. That's stupid. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm gonna house hack. You're gonna rent out a room? Is that what you mean? No, that's just renting out a room. It sounds cool because if you put hack in front of it, it goes viral on TikTok. Because I talk
Yeah.
about how I had a piece of lot and putting a manufactured home on it, not on permanent foundation. Then you just pay property tax. You don't pay anything for the trailer and stuff. And the thing went viral on TikTok. And then someplace like that doesn't work here. It's like, okay, well, it's not going to work everywhere, but it works here in California. And that's what I was talking about. So I wasn't talking about the rest of the states, but it does work in other states. But back to what you're saying is, I always want my people buying their first place, especially veterans, try to buy like you said, a fourplex, a triplex, whatever you can get, because you can rent out the other side. You can't qualify with those rents, but you can, as long as you can afford the full payment, you can buy the place. Then you turn around and go do another one, like when you transfer or do something else. And you're right, that's the best way to build, because if you buy that as an investment property, that's 25% down.
Mhm. That's right.
Yeah. And if you're not a veteran, you can still do the same thing with only 5% down. And the reason I say 5% down is because that's the easiest way with conventional. You can use all the rents. Where if you do an FHA at 3.5% down, there's this whole factor and it messes it up.
Or you could do something completely radical, which is skip over level one real estate and go to level two, where you raise money from other people and you buy real estate with other people's money and you get paid to buy real estate and you get ownership of the real estate with other people's money.
Talk about syndication.
Yeah, syndication level two. To me, there's 5 levels of real estate.
Okay,
And
talk about it.
syndication is level two. Yeah.
What's level 3?
So most people don't even know level two, syndication, raise capital. Level three is what I call institutional operators. Or there's all these firms out there. You've heard of Goldman Sachs, giant firms like that, Blackstone, other people. They have lots of cash, but they need somebody to do the work. And so level three is when you become an institutional operator. When somebody literally comes to you and says, I will give you $20 million for you to, for us to buy this property and you do the work. Now it's going to be a big apartment complex or mobile home park or something like that. But there's called joint ventures with institutional partners. I've done them before. They're real. I'm not making this up. It happens all the time. In fact, I'm looking for JV partners, but it's very experienced operators with track records and everything else.
You're looking for people to do the grunt work.
Yeah.
And now I'm just saying JV partners, so people understand. You have the money. You're looking for other people.
Yeah, so that's how it works. So, but you have the partner, the operator has to have experience. So if you don't have experience, you go through level 1 to 2, you learn how to syndicate, you learn how to raise money, you get a bunch of experience, and then you go to level 3. And then from level 3, you can go to level 4, which is where I'm at. So I'm raising $300 million right now for affordable housing fund. And that $300 million will buy $1 billion worth of real estate. So this year I will buy $1 billion worth of real estate.
So when you say affordable housing, are you talking about a housing that people can afford to buy or housing that people can afford to rent?
So in our case, because we do scale, so they're going to be apartment complexes and bunches of them.
People get confused with the word affordable housing. So in my world, when we talk about affordable housing, it's what
Mhm.
people can afford to buy and not what people can afford to rent. And a lot of times affordable housing just means workforce housing, right? The people who do everything, the cops, the people
Yeah,
who, yeah, that's what the other word, I'm just trying so people understand what we're talking about.
yeah,
You'll hear workforce housing in like Detroit and other places, which you won't hear that in California.
yeah. So there's lots of different names for it. There's like we used to say big A affordable, meaning it's like a Section 8 or it's public housing,
Right.
or little A affordable is just like it's naturally affordable. You can afford to live there. Workforce housing is another term for it. Yeah, there's lots of different terms and forgive the vernacular.
No, I'm just this way people will know where they're living, that we're connected, what we're talking about, no matter where they're talking from in the country.
Yeah.
Now, how long? And so, what was 5? Have we talked about 5 yet?
Level 5 is big institution. So, big institutions have hundreds of billions, like hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars of assets, and eventually have trillions. So, you think Blackstone, who has $1 trillion worth of real estate, they vertically integrate a lot of these big institutions. You got BlackRock that's got $4 trillion of assets. So it becomes massive. But when you're starting, most people never even hear anything past level 1, which is house hacking and
Right.
wholesaling and BRRRR and all these things. But there's so many different things you can do in real estate. And keep in mind, in 2018, I was active duty officer 7 years ago. And now I'm at level 4 raising $300 million. 7 years ago when I was active duty going through an MEB, I had 20 grand in the bank, well, in my Roth or my TSP, and I'd saved up 10K in my account. Like, not much money.
But the low rates of 2021 and 22 helped you, didn't they?
Yeah, I built most of my stuff before 21, and then we did buy stuff in 21. Those rates were fantastic, and they did
Yeah,
help.
because if you did it right and you're buying an apartment complex and stuff, you were doing fixed rate loans. You weren't doing the adjustables. The people who are doing those stupid adjustables are the ones that come into a problem with you're happy with because now you can buy them for
Yeah.
cheap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people in this market. Because besides doing helping the brave, I also run a radio show called Real Estate Jerky. We give you something to chew on, and I've interviewed those guys on my radio show here
Yeah.
locally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We should talk.
yeah, we will. Don't worry afterwards. But I just do a lot. I mean, I did the radio show to educate people on different things. The problem with the word syndication is it got
Mm,
a bad name in 2008. Because a lot of people prior to 2008 were doing all these things. I'm talking huge properties, huge stuff. They were putting them in. I remember these big wigs in my industry. They had this thing called Crescendo, and it was multi-million-dollar properties all around the world that they were buying, and you were part of it, and you could go stay in these different places. All that went under after 2008 and stuff, and so people were like scared of that stuff. But it's different these days. If they do it right, and you have to be careful who you get into syndication with and who's doing the syndication, because they might not be doing it right. They might just be trying to get you the next person to buy this thing before and move on.
yeah. Yeah. It's been crazy. We've seen other syndicators doing stuff that was just bonkers to us, and like that deal's going to explode. And then we saw the deals explode afterwards, and those guys have lost, tens of millions of dollars of their investors' cash, and it's been insane. And I've taken licks too, like 2021, 2022, with the interest rates going up by 500%. It's like it brutalized us in the marketplace.
It
But
destroyed our industry.
yeah,
And that's all because somebody didn't like a pipeline. We'll move on from there.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll move on. So I've been in this industry forever, and I was telling people I was taking people from 13 to 9, and they loved being there. In that period of time, I'd give somebody a 2.75. They're like, "Is that the best you could do?" And you're like, "What? Do you not understand what's going on here?" And then to think that, and then when we were putting all these homeowners in these low rates, I'm like, this is going to mess up the market. This is going to take the normal existing home sales from 85% of the market down to maybe 40 to 50%. I was wrong. It was 35%. So it was even lower than what I said. And that's just because people have a abusive relationship now with their house. They
yeah,
need to go do something, but it's so comfortable. They'd rather have the pain of staying there than it's like, I don't have to explain abusive relationship, but that's what it is.
yeah,
And if you look at it that way, you understand what I'm talking about. Because I have people who need more bedrooms because they have 2 more kids now, but they'd rather stay in the small house. Kind of, you know what? It's almost like the parents of the 60s. And I'm sorry, the 50s and 60s, where they bought one house. Don't care how many bedrooms, they had 4 kids in one room, or you know what I mean?
yeah,
They'll grow up and leave, and we're going to stay here, and that's what's going to happen.
yeah. That's a thing. It's real.
Yeah, and that's what people are looking at now. And without people, selling homes or whatever, we'll never have enough. And we haven't built enough homes. And I don't think people understand how many homes we're so short on homes. We're millions and millions of homes behind on what we need to build for just regular population growth. And at this point, we'll never catch up.
Yeah. So I saw a stat from the Gap report, Affordable Housing Coalition, that says 7.3 million homes are needed today, 16 million homes by 2030. And then if you think about retirees, so you have baby boomers, there's like 70 million baby boomers retiring over the next 6 years. And the average or the median income, the middle income for baby boomers on retirement is somewhere around 47,000 a year. So
Yeah.
all these people are retiring into poverty.
Yeah. You know how many reverse mortgages I'm doing now?
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah. And I hit them hard before they do it. Meaning, I'm not, a lot of people are like, I'm Tom Selleck, and here, take this a reverse mortgage. Now I'm going to get sued. But I'm about, okay, this is so costly. You have to understand the costs involved with the reverse mortgage. Up front, the costs are huge. And you have to understand that it's last resort is what reverse mortgage is. It's not first resort, it's last resort. And if you
Yeah.
take it any other way, you're going to be sorry down the road. You just have to understand that. So I'm I'm like, your baby's ugly, and I'm telling you, and that's how it is. I'm a vet. That's how we deal with things. And so I tell and so I don't get as many reverse mortgages, which is what I want. Are you
Yeah.
following what I'm saying? Is because I want them to understand, where a lot of companies like, oh yeah, this is a great deal. You can take it right now. Here's your money. And they don't really go over all that.
Yeah. And they're just looking at it like, well, I'm going to die anyways. So,
Right. But and realistically, any kid that wants your parents' house, they're not a good kid. Anyway, we'll move on from there.
yeah.
What I mean is they shouldn't be waiting. you shouldn't have to live in poverty because you want to leave something to your kids.
Amen to that. Like, go build your own adventure,
Exactly.
right? Like, go create your life. Don't try and steal from your parents. And
Don't wait for it. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's how my little sister, my big sister and I was. We were like, "We don't want your stuff," but my little sister did, and all the stepkids did, and, of course, who got everything, we didn't get anything, but that's just, we made our own. So,
Yeah.
but and then again, this real estate's where most people make their money. I mean, that's what people don't understand. I wrote my book, Financial Freedom: Building Personal Wealth Through Home Ownership, and it's about that. And I focus on really the first people buying that first, the level one, which you talk about. I'm talking even before that, just the first house, right? That's what I want them to get into the game and understand. Because not everybody wants to be an investor. Not everybody wants to build passive income through that, which is it should be, but that's not how it is. And so so my next book is the same type of book, but for veterans only. And then also included in there a whole section about benefits, because if you go get your benefits, just like you talked about, you can live in Texas and not pay taxes on. In California, in certain counties, it's up to 200,000, and anything over that you pay taxes on. But in other states, you don't pay any property taxes. So that's huge.
Yeah. It's huge. It saves a lot of money. It's like $1,000 a month. And I don't live in an expensive house. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Small.
Yeah, and that's just how taxes are in Texas. It's expensive. And,
Expensive.
and insurance is expensive all over, and eventually that will get fixed. But, average insurance in Florida right now is 14 grand for an average insurance. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. My brother's going through that right now with
Yeah,
his
it's
house.
not, we had the fires in California, and we're still nowhere close to the top 10 states, even with the fires and what we have for the FAIR plan and all the other stuff. We're still not close to that.
Mhm.
So overall, I mean, what I'm hearing is you're real big on buying real estate. Get into the game and then learn the game and move up.
Yeah, I think one of the key things is finding a good mentor. I made so many mistakes doing it because I just like YouTube University, and I'm going to teach myself how to do this, and I'm going to read all the books, and the books gave me a step-by-step guide, and then I went out there and did it, and it worked, and then it didn't work, and then I made a bunch of mistakes and owed a lot of people money and have to pay that all back. And like you can avoid all that nonsense by finding somebody who has already been where you want to be and can help you get there. It's like your
Do you
team
do training?
sergeant.
Do you
What's that?
do coaching? Do you do that stuff too? Or are you just
I
telling them to go get
do
help?
on a small basis. I'm not a big like I'm going to put 50 people in my program and teach. Like, I do small because I'm actively doing the
Right.
stuff. But yeah,
Well, no, you were talking about where should they go get help then?
they can reach out to me. There's some other guys who are really, really good out there as well. They're full-time coaches. Like, say Josh Ferrari's a really good coach. You got
What
like
about
Brad.
Jake and Gino?
What's that?
You know Jake and Gino?
I don't.
You should get to know them.
ADPI?
No, it's I'll find out information. I'll send it to you. They have a whole Jake and Gino. They were on my radio show. They do the same. They buy apartment complexes and they help people buy them, and they go through the whole training and help
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch out there. Just dig in and see who's doing it and who you like. I'm Those guys are typically full-time coaches. I am not a full-time coach. I coach and mentor. I'm raising $300 million.
Right.
I'm doing big stuff.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I get it. It's like I'm doing the Operation Firewalk, which is for veterans to get overcome things, and it was all saving veterans. We're doing our second event May 3rd, 2025 here in Modesto,
yeah,
and I'm all in right that. But I've got my other business to run to, and I got my other stuff to do. So it's part of it, but it's not everything.
it's not everything, which is good and bad, right? I tell you exactly what I'm doing. I raised $10 million this week. I'll tell you exactly how I did that, who I went to, the messaging and everything else. If you want to copy it, go do it. Right.
Wow,
It's just
that's
going
a
to
lot of
be,
help. So,
that's
how
it.
do people find you, Sam?
Yeah. Check me out on LinkedIn, Samuel Sells, Face Made for Radio. And then you can find me on Instagram at the Disruptive Capitalist. You can also just send me an email, sam@impactgrowthcap.com. And I'd love to hear from you guys. Love to talk to you, see what's going on in your world and your transition, and what what do you really want, and where do you want to go? So,
All right. And I'm going to have all that information in the show notes for everybody. Anything else you want to get across before we go?
you know, fortune favors the bold. Just think 7 years ago, active duty, going through med board, had no job lined up, didn't know what was going to happen. And I got into commercial real estate. I learned how to raise capital. And now, seriously, I'm going to buy $1 billion worth of real estate this year. Like, you don't cap who you can become. Don't hinder yourself. If you really want to achieve something big, then set that goal and go find somebody who can help you achieve something big, pay them, listen to them, and go execute the mission. And then you'll get it.
Well, Sam, thanks for being on the show today. I really appreciate you being here.
Heck yeah, man.
And stay right there.